When I played, I didn't have no A.J. Brown. I didn't have no Devontae Smith. And I wish I had Christian McCaffrey when he was of age. And when he became of age, I was hurt. That don't make me bitter. Jonathan Stewart was a hell of a running back.
But he wasn't Saquon Barkley.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy TK the Official, and welcome back to another show of TK Sports Talk, where we talk about the NFL, but more importantly, we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, man. This has just been an amazing, just a crazy offseason of just slander and just backlash and just people just coming for the title, people just coming for the top, people just coming for the king. And the Philadelphia Eagles are king. And at the top of the Philadelphia Eagles, the leader of the Philadelphia Eagles is Jalen Hurts. And everybody has been taking their shots at Jalen Hurts, which is why it's even more sad that a black quarterback from the South, a black quarterback that had to go through the same type of struggles as Jalen Hurts could come out and be negative about Jalen Hurts and exclude Jalen Hurts off his top 10 list for no other reason than the fact that he's just purely hating. Let's watch some of these clips of Cam Newton talking about why he left Jalen Hurts off his top 10 list, and then we'll break it down even further.
Holistically, it's hard to judge what Jalen Hurts can do when you're throwing to a guy like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. When you have, tight end skill set, you have a dominant defense. So I'm just critiquing what I know to be true, and I don't have to be labeled a hater. Mm-hmm. Because if Skip Bayless or Colin Cowherd would have said the same thing, you won't look at them as a hater. Josh Allen has to play elite in order for them to play. Patrick Mahomes.
But even with Josh Allen, like what you might say, he can win you the game or he can lose you the game.
But this past year, he won more.
Okay.
He's the MVP.
Yeah.
Lamarjackson has to play at a high level for the Baltimore Ravens, even though that they have a dominant defense, in order for them to have a chance. Patrick Mahomes, he got a lot of talent, but boy, oh boy, you can't put no John Doe in Patrick Mahomes and think that they still gonna win the way they win it. I understand that. The same goes as Joe Burrow. See what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts does not have to play elite for the Philadelphia Eagles to win.
Yeah.
He has to play good, but he doesn't have to play elite. We're not asking you to win the game. We're just asking you not to lose it. And the higher as you go on this list, that's where the elite come in at. You can have elite flashes, but when you ask that question, are we winning because of you, solely because of you? Or is it the resources around you? So game changer, game manager, those are the things that you have to ask yourself. And those are the metrics that I'm going off of.
This is just crazy and sad to see, man. Okay? Because now you got one black man, right, getting ready to go against another black man. All right? But Cam, I don't have a white flag, but I just want you to understand, okay, Cam? I'm not critiquing you as a man, Cam, okay? Understand, I'm critiquing you as a football player and as a football analyst and as a black NFL quarterback, okay? These are the three things that I'm critiquing you on. In fact, before we get into it, Cam, when it comes to you and Jalen Hurts, Cam, you and Jalen are not even in the same league, okay? You and Jalen can't even be in the same conversation. You and Jalen can't even sit at the same table, Cam. You know who you can sit with, Cam? But before I even say so, Cam, and you had a lot of accolades, a lot of them, right? I can run them down. You were a multiple college award winner. Right, you was a Heisman Award winner in college, right? You was the Rookie of the Year, okay? You was an Offensive Player of the Year in 2015. You was an MVP in 2015. You made it to the Super Bowl in 2015, right? You at one point in time, you had the most passing yards of any rookie, right, in the NFL history, okay? But that's it, all right? Because after your 2015 season, Cam, you completely went off a cliff. In fact, you had your worst performance ever of any game that you've ever had. You had your worst passing performance, right? And then your Super Bowl that season, that 2015 season, Cam, that was the third game in which you, Cam, did not score an offensive touchdown for your football team, right? But you had the top 5, top 2 defenses that year in that Carolina Panthers defense with Davis, Kuechly, Norman, and all those other guys that was out there, okay? You had the best, one of the top 3 defenses in the league where you carried. I watched highlights. You know, the thing is, when you talk shit, people get to go back and watch highlights because there's receipts all over the internet, Cam. That season, Cam, your wide receivers, the team that you had, they made a lot of plays for you, Cam. I watched the highlights of the season, Cam. They made a lot of plays for you. But then I watched the highlights of the Super Bowl. And, Cam, you were 18 of 41 for 265 yards with an interception, Cam. 18 of 41. That's less than 50%, Cam. Right? You had 2 sack fumbles in that football game, Cam. Cam, 2 sack fumbles in a football game. You gave up a touchdown to Denver. All right? In fact, Denver did not score an offensive touchdown in that Super Bowl until 3 minutes within the fourth quarter after a sack fumble, another sack fumble from you, Cam. And in that same game, you also didn't score an offensive touchdown. Not a passing, not rushing from you, Cam. Were you a game manager or a game changer? By your own estimation, Cam, did your team need you to win, or were you winning because of them? Because when it mattered the most, Cam, you went up against an old, aging, last year in the NFL, Peyton Manning, okay? An injured Peyton Manning that season, matter of fact, okay? You, Cam, was this was your 4th year in the league. You were coming off your best season. You and the Carolina Panthers had the number 1 scoring offense in the National Football League that year. Number 1 scoring offense and the top defense. Okay, Cam? That's what you had. Now you say you can't judge Jalen because he's got the best offense, he's got the best defense, but you, sir, okay, going up against the aging Peyton Manning, who didn't even score a touchdown. He didn't score 1 passing, he didn't score 1 rushing. Okay? And you lost the game 22 to 10. Okay? 22 to 10. Denver didn't score a touchdown, an offensive touchdown again until the 4th quarter of the game, Cam. Where were you? Jalen Hurts has gone up against Patrick Mahomes twice and outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice in the beginning of the prime of his career and beat him while Patrick Mahomes was going for a 3-peat. Listen, you can't even stand in the same room with Jalen Hurts. And that's why you hating on him, Cam. That's why you hating on him, Cam, because the things you're saying, they define logic, Cam. The things you're saying, they are illogical. They are all about emotion, and they are completely subjective. Nothing is objective about what you're saying. And Cam, you are not Kyle Hurd. You are not Skip Bayless. Even Skip Bayless, when Jalen Hurts was drafted, said Jalen Hurts was going to change life in Philadelphia. Even Skip Bayless said Jalen Hurts was going to replace Carson Wentz. Even Skip Bayless, all the way up until last year, has been saying Jalen Hurts will win a Super Bowl. He's been saying it. Jalen Hurts has played in 2 Super Bowls. He lost his last Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts said he'll be back. Cam, you lost your last Super Bowl. The first thing you said was, we'll be back. Cam, do you know what your next 3 seasons look like after that Super Bowl season, Cam? Do you know that your team no longer carried you, Cam? And you could no longer carry your team, Cam, if you in fact ever did. If you ever did. Okay? If you ever did. You know who you can sit in the room with, Cam? I'm going to tell you. Okay? And stay with me now. Okay? Stay with me now. You know who you can stay in the room with, Cam? Okay? All the people on, well, let me see. The only person on the list that you can't be in a room with is Patrick Mahomes. It's the only person on this list, Cam, that you can't be in the room with. But you know who lives in the room with Patrick Mahomes, right? You know who got the only table in the room right now with Patrick Mahomes other than Tom Brady? It's Jalen Hurts. The only quarterback you, in fact, should be comparing Jalen Hurts to with your hating ass, okay? Hating ass nigga. I don't even want to say that, but that's what it is, okay? White people, Asian people, whoever watching this, forgive me, all right? But this real nigga talk right here. Real nigga shit. Ain't that right, Cam? Fuck, nigga. All right? Now let me back up off that real quick, okay? Because this is not a show for kids, but, you know, I don't mind if the kids watch it, okay? So, again, of this list, Cam, you know who you can sit in the room with? Baker Mayfield. Why? Because he ain't won shit in the National Football League. You know who you can sit in the room with, Cam? Justin Herbert. Why? Because he ain't won shit in the National Football League. He don't show up in big games when his team need him either, right? And he looks like he's on a decline, okay? You know who else? C.J. Stroud. Cam, you know why? Because the two of you had the top rookie seasons, right? C.J. Stroud had an amazing rookie season his first year, right? But he made the playoffs. I don't even think you did that, Cam, right? And the Texans was a bad team. I think the Texans won like 2 or 3 games the year before. And C.J. Stroud had a brand new coach, okay? Brand new coach who never coached as a head coach in the NFL before. You might not even can sit in a room with C.J. Stroud. Maybe that's why he's on your list, okay? Jaden Daniels. You low-key hating on Jaden Daniels, bro, because you don't want him to be better than you. You don't want any of these black quarterbacks to be better than you, to get the shine that you got. You want everybody to pump the brakes when it comes to Jaden Daniels, right? But Jaden Daniels had a great first season. Jaden Daniels was actually, you know, people like PFF, Jaden Daniels was the second when you do adjusted completion percentage of all the quarterbacks. And you know who number one was, don't you? Jalen Hurts. You see it. You see it. Jared Goff. You most certainly can be in the room with Jared Goff, right? Especially if Jared Goff gets traded from the Detroit Lions and he winds up going back to I was about to call them the St. Louis Rams. If he goes back to the LA Rams once they finish with Stafford, I think this might be Stafford's last year. And if Jared Goff ain't looking good in Detroit may be looking to move off of that. And the only team that may be willing to take him or may make the best sense is the LA Rams. And Cam, you was on the Carolina Panthers, and then you went to the New England Patriots, and then the only time you came back wasn't back to a Super Bowl. It was back to the Carolina Panthers, Cam. And that didn't go very well, okay? Matthew Stafford, the aforementioned Matthew Stafford. Cam, you can be in a room with Matthew Stafford. No. You can't even be in a room with Matthew Stafford. I'm sorry. Matthew Stafford is an NFL champion, Super Bowl champion, not a Super Bowl MVP, but a champion nonetheless, okay? Champion, a winner, consistent winner. Now, you can't be in a room with Matthew Stafford. Maybe that's why he's on the list. Joe Burrow. You could be on the list with Joe Burrow. You was never as good of a thrower as Joe Burrow, not as good of a thrower as Matthew Stafford, not as good of a thrower as Jared Goff, not as good of a thrower as Jaden Daniels, not as good of a thrower as C.J. Stroud. Maybe just as good of a thrower as Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert's motion is a little bit more smoother. Cam, you kind of muscled your ball and kind of threw a fadeaway, turned your body, you know, so you wouldn't get hit. I don't know what you was doing when you was throwing the ball, Cam, but Joe Burrow, he ain't won shit. He got to a Super Bowl, Cam. You did too, right? You did too. Was supposed to win it, but he didn't win it. That's the thing you and Joe Burrow got in common. Was supposed to win, but didn't win. Beat Patrick Mahomes, right? Was over that mountain, got there, was supposed to win, but didn't win. He wound up losing to Matthew Stafford, the aforementioned Matthew Stafford, who you can't be in the room with. But Matthew Stafford wasn't even the MVP of that game, okay? It was the defense that was the MVP of that game. So, you know, you and Stafford do got something. But he won, okay? Now, I bet you would like to be Matthew Stafford, wouldn't you, Cam? Okay? Joe Burrow, again, we talked about that. Patrick Mahomes, we already know. We ain't even gonna discuss that. All right, you can't even get next to the person that's next to the person that's next to the person to talk to Patrick Mahomes. Okay, all right, because that's just what it is. All right, Lamar Jackson. Yes, you can be in the room with Lamar Jackson, Cam. You know why? All right, hey, listen, both of y'all are MVPs. Lamar got 2 MVPs. You got 1. He could have had 3. Whatever. Okay, but Lamar Jackson, he chokes in the big games too, right? He do. Lamar, I mean, he just does, man. All right, he does. Lamar Jackson should have been in the Super Bowl by now. He just should have been, okay? And he's not. For whatever reason, all right, he's had the good teams. He's had the good defense. He's had the good coaching. All these guys has. Joe Burrow, I mean, my God, all right? I mean, let's just go through it real quick, all right? Because if we're really talking about Jalen Hurts being in the top quarterbacks of the NFL, right? This is about being on the top 5 list, okay? So, Cam, how could you say that you wouldn't be, that Jalen Hurts is in the top 5 list, okay? You said, Cam, right? What you said was that you said you had to be elite, okay? Now, the thought process around this was the Kansas City Chiefs said, Jalen, you've got to beat us with your arm. We don't believe that you can. But Cam, the Denver Broncos told you that you have to beat them with your arm, and they didn't think you could, and you went out in that Super Bowl and was 18 of 41 for 265 yards with it, an interception and 2 fumbles, 1 that was given up for a touchdown. Oh, and you was sacked 6 times, Cam. That's what happened. Okay, you didn't show up, Cam. You wasn't elite when they needed you, okay? And Jalen Hurts' first game, okay, he threw for over 300 yards, ran for 70 yards, and accounted for 4 touchdowns in his first game in the Super Bowl and should have been MVP, all right? Are you forgetting this? Because some of these people who you have on this list, Cam, you didn't just name them from just last year. Some of these people you're looking over, over the last 2 years, over the last 3 years, whatever it is that you're giving them this credit for, whatever your criteria is, whatever you're saying that is the reason why you came up with this list. Okay, of the quarterbacks on the list, all right, let's just say, all right, Jalen Hurts threw for 2,900 yards. Cam, you of all people should understand, right? You play the game. Listen, if we up, what the fuck am I throwing the ball for? Right? Run that bitch. Either I'm running it or we running it and we controlling the clock and we doing what we got to do. Yeah, we just moving the chains, but I ain't trying to take no chances. Why we throwing it deep, huh? You only throw it like that when you got to come back and in the game you can't get away from it, Cam. All right, because we seen Jalen Hurts throw for 3,700 yards. We seen him throw for 3,800 yards. In fact, Cam, in your offensive MVP season, okay, when you was offensive player of the year, Cam, you threw for 3,800 yards. Cam, you threw for 3,800 yards in your offensive MVP year, offensive player of the year. Okay, Jalen Hurts is thrown for that total 2 times in a run-heavy offense. Okay, you talk about Joe Burrow when you come talking about Jalen Hurts. Listen, Jalen Hurts last year was 10-1. Took his team to be 10-1 again with a new offensive coordinator coming off of a Super Bowl loss, a devastating Super Bowl loss. Got his team together. But you know what happened? The Eagles had bad injuries on defense. The Eagles had to go through 2 defensive coordinators because they couldn't get their stuff together on the defensive side of the ball. James Bradbury fell off a cliff and had the worst season of his life, and the Eagles could not stay in the game. But guess what, though? The Jalen Hurts that you said can't will his team to win, right? Because that team right there that everyone talks about how bad that year was for the Philadelphia Eagles, that team was 10-1. Okay, 10-1. You go back and watch the highlights. Jalen Hurts was the reason why they were winning these football games, period. 10-1. 10-1. That team was. And they wound up being 11-6, and then they wound up losing. Right? They lost 5 out of their last 6 or 6 out of their last 7 games, and they lost. All right. But you know what that same team did, huh? That same team got a new defensive coordinator, a couple new pieces on defense, rookies at that. Right? And Jalen Hurts got that team together again, and they got right back to it. While everyone critiqued the Philadelphia Eagles this year, right? Oh, you guys are 2-2. Cam, you said in your video that the Philadelphia Eagles were 2-2 and didn't look good because Jalen Hurts was throwing the ball 30 plus times at 2-2. Cam, another hating ass statement. For what? For what, Cam? Actually, what really happened was, Cam, the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Jalen Hurts winded up throwing after that, right? Everyone wants to say the Philadelphia Eagles went to a run offense. Jalen Hurts was throwing for more yards, threw for the same amount of touchdowns, no interceptions, right? And was playing better, had a better efficiency at playing the quarterback position, throwing for more average yards per throw and more yards per game. Okay, I mean, like that's what was happening off of a new coordinator in Kellen Moore and them trying to mesh everything together. In fact, the Philadelphia Eagles should have won that game against the Atlanta Falcons if Saquon Barkley doesn't drop that touchdown pass right in his hands, right? Come on, Cam. Cam, you know what happened, Cam, right? That's a narrative that you're trying to push. And that's why Ryan Clark said what he said to you, Cam. I'm going to do a whole nother video, but Ryan Clark said what he said. You don't understand the power of your words, Cam. You don't understand the position that you have, Cam. Jalen Hurts looked up. I'm sure Jalen Hurts looked up to you as a quarterback, Cam. I am almost for certain that Jalen Hurts looked up to you. Look, in Jalen Hurts' first season as a starter, okay, playing the Carolina Panthers in Carolina, when he scored a touchdown, he paid homage to you by doing your touchdown celebration dance, Cam. That's what Jalen Hurts did. And what you gonna do, Cam? You gonna sling my man through the mud, Cam? You gonna tell Jalen Hurts that he ain't a top 10 quarterback? You gonna tell Jalen Hurts that he not one of the top quarterbacks in the league when every number, every graphic that I can put up on this video, every number, every graphic that you can put up looking at all these quarterbacks, especially over the last 3 seasons, says Jalen Hurts is the top 4 quarterback, top 3, maybe even top 2, not even just top 5. Okay, PFF has him as top 5, and PFF, of all these quarterbacks on the list of the top 4, they all graded off the same metrics, all of them, including Lamarjackson. Okay, you think he don't run the football? You think he don't throw the football? He do. All right, he does. He ain't ranked higher than Jalen Hurts did. Okay, so let's just cut it. Let's just understand what it is, Cam. This was irresponsible for you to not have Jalen Hurts on your list. Listen, some of these other pundits that's out here, Cam, these they never played the game, okay? These are some white guys, never played the game. Some of them black too, that's never played the game. Excuse me, okay? These are guys that's never played the game, don't understand. Okay, what it's like to play in the NFL, what it's like to play quarterback in the NFL. They don't understand what it's like to be a black quarterback in the National Football League, especially a black quarterback such as yourself that's running and throwing and coming in and blazing a whole new trail on his own and saying, I'm going to win the game my way. Cam, when you came out, you was box office, Cam. I'm going to tell you like this. You were one of the best offensive players, one of the best college football quarterbacks I ever seen, Cam. Right? Until Joe Burrow. And then I saw Joe Burrow and I said, oh, Joe Burrow, he's the best college quarterback I've ever seen. But guess what? Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow had freaking Justin Jefferson. I don't see you hating on Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had Joe Mixon, the same running back that Jalen Hurts had at Oklahoma. Joe Mixon was one of the best, and still is one of the top running backs in the league right now. You got Joe Burrow, you got Mixon, you got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins, and you got the tight end that they got out there, Dzeki, whomever it is out there that was doing their thing. Come on. And that team can't win a Super Bowl. That team can't make a playoffs. I mean, you got Joe Burrow out there crying, saying he need his guy, Jamar Chase. He need his guys, T. Higgins. And they didn't even win this year. Oh, T. Higgins missed 12 games. Well, guess what? A.J. Brown played 13 games this year. T. Higgins played 12. I don't see that affecting Jalen Hurts that much, okay? Matter of fact, in the worst game, in that 2-2 stretch that the Philadelphia Eagles played against Tampa Bay, Jalen Hurts Jalen Hurts was without his left tackle in that game. He didn't have Devontae Smith in that game. He didn't have A.J. Brown in that game. Cam, Cam, you have to be more responsible to have Justin Herbert on this list. Look at these numbers, okay? Let's just talk about real games. Cam, you're a winner. Cam, you're a winner. You've won at the JUCO level. You've won at the national collegiate level, at the D1 level, all right? And then, Cam, the only level you ain't won at is at the NFL level. Cam, what's up? But you know you a winner. It's about winning championships, ain't it, Cam? Justin Herbert, see a champion, Cam? Does he give you champion? Do he play in big games? Do he give you championship vibes, Cam? Baker Mayfield, do he give you championships vibes, Cam? Huh? Jared Goff, do we give you championship type vibes, man? Big game player, gonna be there for you. You know he's stepping up. You know you can count on him in the big game, Cam. Come on, Cam. We're talking about big game hunting here, man. You went so low and so far out of bounds just to take shots at Jalen Hurts, right? Indirectly, Cam. Indirect shots, Cam, is what you did, Cam. It's pathetic, right? Matthew Stafford, Cam, all right, listen, I ain't mad at Matthew Stafford being on your list somewhere, but you ain't even got your boy Jalen Hurts on the list, bro. You telling me that's not hating? You telling me that Jalen Hurts don't belong on this list over Baker Mayfield, over Justin Herbert, over CJ Stroud, bro? Jalen Hurts been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. He didn't have no Saquon Barkley in 2022. Come on. He didn't have Saquon Barkley last year when he took them boys back to the playoffs. 10-1 to start after a Super Bowl loss. Who does that, man? He had top numbers last year, big numbers. All your quarterbacks out here throwing interceptions, man. That's what happens when you throw the ball that much. That's what's going to happen. All right, but Jalen Hurts, when he throw the ball 30 or more times, he's 20-9, Cam. 20-9, Cam. What metrics are you going off of, Cam? This got to be coming from the heart, man. It's got to be some hating in your heart, Cam. It's just got to be. Right? There's no way you cannot have Jalen Hurts. Listen, some of these other pundits out here, I can care less what they say, man, but they ain't played a game, and they've never been a black quarterback, and they don't know what it's like to be a black quarterback playing this game, to be as gifted as you are. Right? For the coaches to put the whole game plan on you. Right? The running game going to depend on you. The passing game going to depend on you. The protection is going to depend on you. Right? Everything on you. We need you to make a play. More than what these other quarterbacks that can't do what you do. And Jalen Hurts just coming off a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 in his last 3 years. And if you look at his numbers in the last 3 seasons, Jalen Hurts is second in passer rating. Second in quarterback rating from the pocket. Let me see. What's Jalen Hurts' numbers here? All right. Look at these numbers here from the pocket. Right? Jalen Hurts from the pocket. Since 2022, right? Second in completion percentage, right? Third in yards per average. This man is, all right, from the pocket, okay, all right. Fifth in passer rating since 2022. That is a 3-year span: 2022, 2023, 2024, and in those 3 years, Jalen Hurts has been to 2 of 3 Super Bowls. Cam. How could anybody not have Jalen Hurts on a top 10 list? But Cam, how could you not have Jalen Hurts on your top 10 list? Like, you was struggling when you got to number 10, like trying to figure out who you was going to put on here. And you decided to put Baker Mayfield, Cam? Cam? Like, how could you do such a thing, Cam? Right? Like, I'm not, listen, Cam, I'm judging you as a football player. No, Cam, I'm judging you as a football analyst who was a football player who played quarterback. That's how I'm judging you. And based off that, Cam, I can't believe anything you say because your credibility is shot for what? A hot take? For what? Some clickbait? Right? How is this valid, Cam? What you're saying is you're just giving an opinion. Right? So what you're saying is your opinion ain't that good because this not logical. What is this based off of, Cam? Come on, Cam. Cam, do you want somebody to judge you off of 1 year, Cam? Because I can pick a year and it don't have to be 2015. All right? It don't got to be 2011. It don't got to be 2012. How about I pick 2013? How about I pick 14? How about I pick 16, 17, or 18? How about I pick those seasons to any one of those seasons to judge you off of, Cam? Is that fair to you, Cam? All right. And how about in your worst season, passing the ball, at least yards wise, right? Now, again, Jalen Hurts didn't play 2 games this year, right? Jalen Hurts had the lead in a lot of these games, so didn't even have to pass. It doesn't even come from behind. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles won their football games by an average of 14 points a game. You know good and well it's not going to be a whole lot of passing. You know that, Cam. You played the game. You know good and well what's going to happen. It's ball control. You know Jalen Hurts is picking up that first down with his feet and keeping that clock moving. You know it. That's how the game is won. That is football 101, Cam. And you have a responsibility more than anybody out there, Cam. Right now, there is not a player analyst out there right now besides RG3. And even RG3 can't say what you say, Cam, because you went to the Super Bowl. You took a team to the Super Bowl. You was there. Thought you'd be back and never got back. And for Jalen Hurts to do what you thought you was going to do and never could do, Cam, you should be giving that man kudos. You say you're not trying to take nothing away, but you ain't trying to give him no credit. Why are you putting water? Why are you putting cold water on this man? Cam. It's some hating ass shit, Cam. I mean, can you explain, Cam? Since 2022, Cam. Jalen Hurts, since 2022, Cam, check this out. Jalen Hurts has the most yards. The most yards with 14,354. Followed up by 124 touchdowns. 124. Come on, Cam. From the pocket. Let me tell you, look, Jalen Hurts from the pocket, 72.6%. Then 71.2%. Then 74%, Cam. From the pocket, that is great NFL football. That's winning football. That is getting it done, man. That's getting it done. And you saying he not top 5 on your list, Cam? Cam. You said, Cam, help me to understand, man. All right? Passer rating of 111.8, right? Then 91.9. Okay, listen. That was a year. Look, stuff got crazy toward the end. Jalen Hurts had to make a lot of things happen in 2024 or 2023. All right, but then it went right back up to 109.7. Cam, come on, Cam. You a coon, bro. Like, you hating on Jaden Daniels. You hating on RG3. RG3, whatever. You hating on Jalen Hurts, though, bro. A frat brother. Jalen Hurts, you talking about he epitomizes everything for the culture? Come on, man. You know Jalen Hurts' story, bro. Cam, you had to transfer from a JUCO college to a freaking D1 school, Cam. Come on. Your boy Jalen Hurts transferred from a D1 school to a D1 school and took them both to the national playoffs, bro. Come on, Cam. The Philadelphia Eagles were 4-12 when Jalen Hurts got that year. Jalen Hurts got there and took over the last couple games. 4-12. The next year they was 9-8. 9-8. He led that team. I'm talking about he led a team that had Jalen Reagor. He led a team that had Quez Watkins. He led a team that had Greg Ward. None of these guys are in the NFL anymore. All right, none of them. He led that team to the playoffs, and then he came back the very next year, Cam. It went to the Super Bowl, bro. Right there, added one player, A.J. Brown, not no Saquon Barkley, went to the Super Bowl, bro. Come on, man. Playoffs the next year. Playoffs all 4 years, including 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, Cam. Like the numbers are all over. They're anywhere you want to look. The only quarterback that Jalen Hurts can be compared to right now is Patrick Mahomes, period. Not Lamar Jackson. If Lamar won the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP, then yeah, right? Then yeah, I mean, because listen, this is about winning games. This is about winning football, right? Look at the numbers. Lamar, Jalen, they the same thing in their first 5 seasons. First 5 seasons, the only difference between Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts is that Jalen Hurts got the championships. That Jalen Hurts been to 2 Super Bowls in those 5 seasons. 2 of them. Come on. What are we saying? What are we doing? What are we doing, Cam? This is irresponsible. I'm on your head top. All right. I'm going to be making videos after videos, man, because this is ridiculous. Jalen Hurts, Cam Newton, your new name is Cam Coon. Cam, because you a black man that's hating on other black men. There's no way that you chose not to uplift Jalen Hurts. It's not like Jalen Hurts didn't deserve to be on this list, Cam. It's not like he didn't deserve to be on this list. He did. You purposely omitted him on purpose because you don't like the fact that he getting all the shine. He clean and pristine. He doing what you couldn't do. Cam, you were not a better passer than Jalen Hurts ever. You've never consistently been a great passer, Cam. You've not. Right now, Jalen Hurts is a better passer than you are, and he's going to continue on that trajectory because he got the work ethic that you didn't have, Cam. Cam, you just became a battering ram, Cam. Ready, run left, run right, run straight, put my shoulder down, not slide. All kind of stupid stuff. Talking about something you wish you had Christian McCaffrey in his prime, but you was hurt at that. That's on you, Cam. You wish you had this. You didn't have AJ Brown. Cam, you had the number 1 scoring offense in the National Football League. Y'all was running the ball. Y'all was passing the ball. You had some of the fastest wide receivers. All your Hollywood Brown or whatever his name, Philly Brown, whatever his name was. I'm watching highlights after highlights of these guys getting behind players. All right, deep passes, getting behind them, clear, open, wide open. Like the level of difficulty for those throws was not much. Come on, Cam. This is irresponsible. This is just irresponsible, and it's sad. It's sad that you chose to denigrate a black man, that you chose not to take an opportunity to put that man in your top 5 or not even in your top 10 when it was justified. You could have found reasons. You could have brought all these stats up, and then you could have bigged up Jalen by bigging up yourself. You could have talked about yourself and bigged up Jalen. But you didn't do that. You didn't do that, Cam. And for what? For the clicks? Cam. Jalen Hurts not in your top 10, Cam. It's hot garbage. Not a hot take. This is your boy TK the Official, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you comment in the video below. Make sure you share it with your friends, with all your Eagles fans, anybody else that's out there, man. If you stayed and you watched the video this long, I really appreciate it. I try to make it as entertaining as I possibly could, man. But damn, Cam. Damn. It's your boy TK the Official, man. I'm out. Love y'all. Go Birds.